What's up YouTube, Dal here from Zephyr, and today I'm bringing an update to pure generators. Now obviously there is a generator with the runics, and hopefully I'm going to be able to update that once the tin gets released. But I've just had an incredible amount of fun with this day. I took it to my locals, I went 2-2, it wasn't that great, but it was really fun. It's one of the ones where if they out the field spell, it's pretty much GG, which is exactly what happened. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe for more upcoming content. So we're going to dive headfirst into the more recent card, and I say more recent because it came out in Photon Hypernova, and that is Valor. This card is absolutely insane for the deck. So you can only control one of it, like pretty much with all the other generators, but the effect it has is absolutely insane. If it is in the hand or graveyard, you send one other generator card from your hand to the graveyard to special on this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. If this card is special summoned, you can special summon one generator monster from your hand or graveyard except itself. Now this is why it's absolutely insane, is because technically you can summon back the one you discard or you send, so you get two on the board. And then to make sure that this never gets banished, you just overlay straight into the other one, and this card, Boss of Shadows, Levin In, is so good. And we'll talk about that once we get to the extra deck. We've then got Double Heart Generator Boss of Storm. So this is obviously your negator, and it can rip one from your opponent's hand when they add, so it basically has like a mini Dark Claw effect. And then we've got 2 Lopter. This is your main normal summon of the deck. Now, I'm highly considering, so the other normal summon of the deck that I'm playing is the Diviner engine, and I'll explain that when we get to it. But I'm highly considering going back to Condemned Witch and playing 3 Lopter, because the issue is, with Lopter, technically it can be ashed, but it can't be impermed or Veiler because it tags out as cost, if you tribute itself, that is. Whereas with Diviner, it can be impermed, Veilered, and ashed, and it's just like, bro. And then if you're stuck with like a Diviner on the board and you can't get like anything else to the board, it really doesn't do anything. It does highly make me want to consider also playing a Psychic End Punisher in the extra deck as well, for those odd times when I open up the ability to get Valor to the board and a Diviner, and Diviner gets stopped. But then that's a really specific requirement. That being said, the extra deck does have loads of flexibilities. We've then got Uganda. So this one is, you can only control one of it, but you get to tribute 2 generator monsters and or rock monsters to target one card in the field and banish it. So that's your spot removal. Hela is your one that will allow you to revive from grave. Nidhogg is the one that basically is a solemn warning. So when your opponent would special summon a monster or monsters, quick effect, you tribute a generator monster or a worm monster to negate the summon, and if you do, destroy it. And the last one is Mardell. This allows you to search out any generator card on, well, generator card except itself on normal or special summon. So it gets you to the field spell basically. And then the honorary generator that I'm playing, again, I could very easily cut, is a Nightmare Incarnation Idli. Now the idea behind this is you summon it off of Monstrosity, World Legacy Monstrosity, and then this one means that the 2 that you summon, or the other one you summon off of Monstrosity, cannot be destroyed by card effect, which means they don't get destroyed via the Monstrosity during the end phase. And on top of that as well, if your opponent is playing a heavy link deck, you get to special summon this down. So for those of you who are not familiar with the deck, level 9 monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effect. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If the total link ratings of monsters on the field is 8 or more, quick effect, you get to special on this card from the hand. If this card is special summoned while your opponent controls more link monsters than you do, you can send all link monsters on the field to the graveyard. So again, very nice board wipe if they are playing loads of link monsters. Then for the normal summon engine of the deck, of course, triple Diviner. And then off of Diviner, you are usually sending the 1 Trias and the 1 Bhutan. Now, obviously, Bhutan comes off of the back of this. The idea is you normal summon Diviner, Diviner sends Trias, Trias tributes Diviner, summons itself out. Bhutan summons itself out because it was tributed off, Diviner was tributed, and then you synchro these 2 into a Baron, and then you're protected to do like your Valor plays and everything else. Or you just activate Field Spell, and then you're protected. So that's kind of like the ideal scenario, and that's how you protect your Field Spell from stuff like Cosmics, Twins, and Ash Blossoms. You can play like DD Sprite, basically you just need a level 1 Fairy Tuner. Some people do play 2 Trias, again, absolutely fine as well, because Trias will get banished when it leaves the field. And the reason this is so good in the deck, for those that again are unfamiliar with it, is during the main phase, if this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can tribute up to 3 fairy monsters, which the tokens the field spell spawn is. And then you get to activate the following effects in sequence depending on the number of tributed monsters. 2 or more, destroy a card your opponent controls. 3 or more, draw 2 cards. So nice recurability. And then again, if you use this as XYZ material, it won't get banished when it leaves the field. Onto the spells, we are playing as many copies of the field spell that we can get away with, bar playing set rotation. So we've got 3 boss stage, 1 terraforming, and then of course we've got the 1 Mardell to kind of get to it. Then we do play triple World Legacy Monstrosity. So this one either lets you target a level 9 you control and special from your deck 2 level 9 monsters with each with different attributes and original types from that face-up targeted monster, and different names. But the 2 monsters cannot attack and destroyed during the end phase. So obviously you're using them usually as XYZ material, or you're going to be making summon out Idly with it and protecting them. On top of that as well, it does have the ability to just special summon a level 9 monster from your hand. So if you have bricked up a little bit and you have this, you can still get a Mardell or any of your other level 9s to the board. Prosperity for consistency, just because like, you know, you don't really mind about your extra deck, you're better off controlling it. You could play Extrav, but you really do not want to be losing your Boss of Shadows and your Boss of Eternity, because both of these are like incredibly powerful for the deck. And then continuing on, you just basically got your hand traps. So these are all format dependent and local dependent. So I went with triple Droll, triple Ash, double Herald, because we actually play a lot of fairies in the Diviner build, because you play 3 Diviner, plus obviously you've got your Bhutan, you've got your 3 Valors, you've got your Lopters, and of course you've got your Trias as well. So double Nibiru, and then triple Imperm. So you can make these board breakers. They can be droplets, they can be basically anything you want, Veilers. You just kind of want to make sure you don't clog too much with the hand traps, because yes, you only really need 2 of your generators to kind of get the deck going. But then, so the rest of the hand can be hand traps, but then you do need to be very, very careful as well that you don't brick on all hand traps, or you don't brick on all the generators, which does happen. That's just part and part of the deck. It's just the way it is, unfortunately. Moving on to the extra deck, we'll talk about the insanely good cards that is the Boss of Shadows and Boss of Eternity. So I still feel that we're missing one. I feel that there could be another boss coming out, because this one is insane. So it requires 2 or more level 9s, and you can only control 1 of it. Monsters your opponent controls lose 1,000 attack and defense. Quick effect, tribute this XYZ summon card to special on 1 non-fairy generator XYZ from your extra deck, and then you can attach cards from any field and or graveyards to that special summon monster as material up to number of materials this card had. So at the base minimum, you're tributing this off with 2 materials, which means you're non-targeting, attaching 2 materials to your Yugioh, and that's just crazy, because it's like, okay, they've got untargetable monsters. Okay, Yugioh, attach them. It's insanely powerful, love it. The fact that there's a non-fairy basically means that you can't just tribute it out into another one of itself. So you're only always going to Yugioh. But that also makes me feel that I really want to see a third XYZ just to get the best of both. But, you know, time will tell. Yugioh, for again, those that do not know, it requires 2 or more level 9s. You can only control 1 of it. Its original attack and defense become 1,000 times the number of materials attached to it, so it'll be a base of 2k. It has a quick effect to detach material from this card. Each player draws a card, and then each player that drew attaches 1 card from their hand or field to this card as material. So again, you'll get a base minimum of making this a 3k. Sometimes it can be a little bit risky because you give your opponent a draw, but if you've got the field spell, you're able to trigger that and go from there. We've then got 2 Phantom Fortress, enter Blafnia. Now obviously this is one of the ones that if you open up like Valor, it's a very specific combo, but if you open up Valor plus a Generator to send, and then you open up Monstrosity, you get 2 level 9s, which is your Phantom Fortress. The idea is that you would have got Mardell from the deck, so Mardell gives you the field spell. You make 1 Phantom Fortress, you rip 1 from your opponent's hand, you make a second, you rip 1 from your opponent's hand, and then you go into Utopic Future, and then Utopic Draco Future, which then gives you another little bit of a mini protection for the field spell, because then during your opponent's turn, you're going to have this negate set up, and then they're going to have to play with 4 cards, and you're going to build your board with tokens. The rest is all generic, which is why you've got space if you want to play Super Poly. You've got options to be looking at more Link monsters, you name it. So we've got the Mythologic Agitator. So the idea behind this is if it's sent, you get to negate, but then you can also summon this and then you send one. So if it's XYZ summoned, you send a monster from your extra deck to the graveyard, and then you get to pop a card with Natis. Really nice. You've got your Sacred Trees, you've got your Nine Lives Cat, so revive from the graveyard. Monsters revived from the graveyard cannot be targeted, which is really, really important with card effects. Sacred Tree Beast is obviously a negate depending on what material it has, which basically just means it will become a monster negate. The Infinite Track Earth Slicer is just a way of being able to pop multiple cards all in one go. And then you've got the Baron coming off the back of your Booten and Trias combo. And then, of course, I've gone with the one World Gears Dimigurg, just because it's just an absolute board wipe. So this one, it requires 3 level 5 or higher monsters. It cannot be used as link material. The link summon on this card is unaffected by other monster effects, and you can only use each of the following effects once per turn. During your main phase, if you control this card that was link summoned using 3 monsters that had 3 different types and attributes on the field, you can destroy all other cards on the field. If your opponent special summons a monster or monsters from the extra deck, except during the damage step, you get to special summon a World Legacy monster from the deck. Now, obviously, the second effect, you're not going to do. But the fact it has a, during the main phase, board wipe is absolutely insane, because it's an entire board wipe, meaning that if your opponent sets back row, you can go activate effect, try and nuke everything, or bait something out as well, which is really kind of cool. But it is a very optional, specific option, so entirely up to you. And that's where the flexibility comes into it, and the creativity comes into it as well, because you can actually change the extra deck up to whatever you see fit. The idea is, like I said, you want to try and protect your field spell. That's the most important thing. If your opponent stops you getting to protection for the field spell and then can stop the field spell, it really does cause you an uphill battle, depending on what the rest of your hand is, which is why you then need to kind of lean back on the hand traps to kind of slow your opponent down, stop them where at all possible. I'm also quite disappointed this hasn't had a foil print yet, but hopefully one day it will, and then it can at least match the rest of the generators in its foil capacity. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Hope it's given you an idea of a very fun build to be playing around with, and relatively cheap. I think the Secret Field Spell is a little bit expensive, but you can actually build this on a budget, and it will catch a lot of people off guard, because they're high-level monsters that are incredibly powerful, that will be able to push the game, but then it's also got a very nice control aspect as well. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Any questions at all, by all means, please put them in the comments down below. I will be more than happy to answer them for you. But for now, as absolutely always, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.